Good morning. Good morning. Actually, good evening. Welcome to Mending Threads. This is your safe place and your stronghold for whole body wellness. This is a transformational series that looks at mind, body, spirit. And today we really want to take our time and look at what we need to do in order to transform our lives toward wellness. We have with us my co-host and guest, Dr. Floyd Atkins from the Center for Wellness and Healing. And the topic chosen for this holiday period, and we'll be speaking about it on more than one occasion, is food and nutrition for wellness. Now, what I really should have said was food and nutrition for medicine, because this is really how our body is going to heal, and transform many things that we are struggling with and trying to prevent. So I'm not going to hold on. I'm going to then say, let me welcome Dr. Floyd Atkins from the Center for Wellness and Healing. Good afternoon, good evening. It'll be evening.
Good afternoon, Dr. Lewis. How are you doing today?
Just great. You know, I can talk to you all day and on one day, and then we can get on the phone the next day, and it seemed like we didn't talk. Like we got brand new stuff we got going on.
Every day, all day.
All day, but it's so much stuff. And I was just sharing before the show that different things are going on because of the holiday. The stresses are increasing. And, you know, culturally speaking, we have anticipations greater during the holidays because there've been so much absence during, not only because of the COVID, but because you have not had, or you have abstained from so many things. And then during the holiday, the expectations are there. And also we ramp up many other things that we can talk about today.
Yeah.
And you have talked in the past about food and nutrition and how we can heal ourselves and to move toward wellness. So I'm just going to start off by asking, in your practice, how do you really define and describe wellness?
Okay, that is an excellent question. And I think answering that question will help a lot of people understand the difference between health or health care and wellness. Now, wellness is an ongoing process. It's not one thing that we do. Wellness is not a place you get to and say, I'm well. Wellness is a process. It's what you do each and every day to maintain a certain level of health. You know, you can be in poor health, you can be in average health, you can be in good health, you can be in great health. Now, wellness is that journey where you fluctuate back and forth between good health and great health, or poor health and great health. So wellness is a journey. It's a journey we go on. It's the things that you do each and every day. It's how you live. It's how you eat. It's how you reduce stress. It's how you interact with other people. It's your own interpersonal experiences and your own emotional status. It all determines what wellness is. So when you have all of those things in a certain level of balance, then that can be seen in a place of wellness. When emotionally you have a balance, nutritionally you have a balance, psychologically you have a balance, then you can consider that wellness. And the wellness is a state where you're at peace. I always say peace means nothing missing, nothing broken. And, you know, there's always things that are broken in our life. But when you get to a place where you can look to today, I really don't have any complaints today. I really, you know, things you might be able to complain about, but do you have any personal complaints? Is anything wrong with your life? Is anything that you need to work on? So if you work on those things, and so that's when you have peace, nothing missing, nothing broken. That's what our goal is. And that's really what wellness is.
That's a good way to define. So some key words would be connected, balance, and peace of mind that you have. Well, you know, Dr. Atkins, I have peace of mind, but I'm a little fat. So,
well, that's the part of the balance we need to work on. You know, everybody has something, no matter what. There's always something that you can work on one level or another. But if you can maintain balance in some areas, that's a good start. Because imagine a person who has all these areas out of balance and they can't get a grip on on anything. And that's how
Yes.
frustrating. And then it
Yes.
becomes a perpetuating thing where they get worse because it's a vicious cycle and they
That's
go
right.
through it. So
So
we want to,
actually, then we could say for our audience, could we say then that even wellness is the approach that you take toward the things that you're trying to remedy, make better, or improve, that kind of way, the approach and how it's
yes,
handled.
wellness is definitely an approach. You have to,
Mhm,
because
mhm,
it's intentional. It's something that you do intentional. So you have to have a plan or an approach. You go toward that approach, you move forward in that approach, and then once you do it,
mhm,
you want to maintain, you want to be consistent, you want to do the thing. So even though you may go out of balance, you have to know how to get back to center. How do I get back to my area of balance? And so that's what
mhm,
really wellness is all about.
mhm. So I see that we have talked about medicine. We've
Yes,
talked about healing. And I
yes,
thought maybe if we could kind of look at wellness and then explore what the healing process is before we even get into the food and nutrition. Like how do you know you're healed? What is healing? And medicine, people think about um, things that you go to the pharmacy to get or etc. So if we can kind of throw those terms around and talk about healing as a process and how one would know he or
yeah,
she is healing, how would we know that we're
yeah.
healing? And mhm,
Well, mainly, if from a medical or health standpoint, we measure healing or the process of healing by, lab values and then by looking at numbers and by doing testing. And that's kind of a measure. I like to think of healing as a process of restoration. That's another word we can use in terms of healing. That healing is a process of coming back, is restoring, is getting you back to where you were. My idea of healing is that when we come into this world, we have very few problems as a baby. We don't have arthritis. We don't have headaches. We don't have joint pain. We don't have vision problems. We don't have diabetes and high blood pressure in most cases. So, but through life, from the time we're born to the time we reach 20s, 30s, and 40s, these things slowly develop in our life. And what that I want people to look at it is what's happening is that our body systems are breaking down or they're becoming less efficient. And then as they become less
mhm,
efficient, it gets more and more difficult to maintain balance.
mhm,
And then it gets to the point where you just get out of balance, where blood sugar is out of balance. We call that
mhm,
diabetes, and blood pressure is out of balance. We got high blood pressure, and your toxicity levels are out of balance. Liver and kidneys are not doing what they're supposed to do, and that's more like autoimmune disorders. And you
mhm,
can go on, and all those things lead to inflammation. And once you have inflammation, that different parts of your body become inflamed. Then you can call that, you have names for that, whether it's again arthritis or myositis or carditis, it's heart problems. It could be many type of inflammation. So what we want to do as far as healing is reverse all of those symptoms, reverse all of those things. It would
mhm,
be ideal to, when we say we're healed, you're in an area of balance and you want to maintain that. When you are
mhm.
healing, that means you're coming from a place of out of balance going to balance. And so that's what I really want to touch on today, on how do we get our healing back when we lost it.
Yes, yes, and I'm sure I do. And when you get to this, I have a personal interest in this inflammation situation and some
Okay.
kinds of things when we get to that. So
Okay.
can you share with us, since we're on this journey, then how you mentioned like numbers and things like that? Are there any numbers that we really need to pay attention to, on our healing, some key numbers so we will know anything? How can we tell by looking at numbers?
Well, numbers, when I say looking at numbers, we're looking at lab values because
Yes.
one thing that doctors do is be able to draw blood. And people say, well, I always got to get but why do I have to get blood drawn every time? Well, there's no way we can really measure what's going on the inside of you and biochemically what's in balance, biologically what's in balance by doing
Mhm.
those. So when we draw blood, we look things for like your complete blood count, which is CBC. And that tells us, it tells us about your anemia. It tells about the size of your red blood cells. It tells you about the number of red blood cells. It tells you about the ratio of white blood cells to red blood cells. And all those things are key factors, because if those ratios are not right, it leads to problems. And then we can see problems just by looking at those ratios. And you really want to look at them in an early stage before you have symptoms, before you say, oh, doctor, I have a pain in my side, or I have this. You want to look at those numbers at an earlier stage so you can see when they're within range and what we call the median range or the optimal range, or when they're too low or too high. We look at things like your blood sugar, we call it blood glucose. But even more importantly, we look at the fasting blood, the hemoglobin A1C. And that tells us, it's like a report card of your blood sugar, what it's been doing over the last 2 to 3 months. And it has to be in a certain range to maintain proper sugar metabolism. And so when that gets out of balance, that's when people are pre-diabetic, or if it stays out of balance for a long period of time, they become full-blown
Can,
diabetic.
can you tell us a little bit about the proper range and what what we can do about that,
Yeah. Well, the
in terms
proper
of the
range,
healing? Mm-hmm.
what is considered non-diabetic these days is the range goes from 4 to 5, and can go as up. It's no limit on how high it can go. Normally you don't see anybody up in the 20s, but 5 is where you want to be. 5 or 4 is where we see people. But if you have a 5.5 or 5.6, that's considered to be non-diabetic or below. When you get 5.7 to 6.0, it's considered to be pre-diabetic, or you're pre-diabetic. That means that you're on the edge of getting out of control. Once you get over 6.0 or 6.5, most of your primary care physicians consider you a diabetic. 6.5 or higher, and then they want to institute some kind of treatment, whether it's oral medication, those are pills you might take, or whether it's dietary changes. If you're under 6.5, you go to 6.5, they're going to want to medicate you. If you're really high, like some people, never know that they're out of balance because they don't get their blood checked. And when they check it, it's 10 or 11 or 12. Now, those numbers are full-blown diabetes. That means that you're having some organ damage, you're having some kidney liver damage, you have an eye damage, you have neuropathies, nerve pain damage, circulation damage, not only to your hands and feet, but also to your heart. And so when people stay in that range of 10, 11, 12, like even 7 or 8 or higher for periods of time, you're adding, and over time you're going to have developed serious problems. So those are the ranges. Our goal is to keep people 6 or below. We really want to keep you 5.7 or low, out of the pre-diabetic. And you can do that simply by diet, because I always emphasize that diabetes, especially in adult humans who weren't diabetic, who weren't born that way, who weren't born with any genetic problems or what we call congenital problems, they should always be in that range. Your pancreas should be working fine. You shouldn't be overeating too much sugar, where you have enough insulin produced by the pancreas to balance out the sugar. And that's that 5.5, 5.6 range. And let me explain one other thing. When we eat a meal, maybe we eat a meal that's high in sugar, what happens is the blood sugar will be started around 80 or 90. We like this, blood sugar around 80 is when you haven't eaten anything overnight. You get it in the morning. If you could test your blood sugar, it'll be around the number 80. If you eat a meal, eat something sweet, that blood sugar might go up to 150 to 200. Now, within an hour to 2 hours after that, it should drop back down to 80. That means your your pancreas is making insulin, and it gets the blood sugar, it takes out the bloodstream and put it in the cells, and you can able to use that as energy. And so within 2 hours, it should be back down to normal. Well, in a diabetic state, they'll eat a meal, their blood sugar will go up to 200 to 300, but it doesn't come back down. It might stay that way for all day or 2 days.
Wow.
So you have to have a way to get it down. And so, and then people don't always know, because it's like high blood pressure too. To that degree, it's kind of a silent process. It's going on. You don't know. Some people may have some symptoms when their blood sugar gets 400 or 500. They might get a blurred vision and say, I can't see good. They think they need glasses, but they have a blurred vision a little bit. Or they might have a little numbness and tingling in their fingertips or their hands. They might see things like they're urinating excessively. They get up 4 or 5 times a night to go to the bathroom, maybe 6 or 7 or 8 times a night. And because when you have blood sugars high, it pulls water out of your system.
Mhm.
That's one way that they described diabetes back in Roman times in the
Mhm.
first and second century BC. They call it that it was that you urinate all the time, and that's why
Mhm.
people they had a, and I said the Roman Empire because they had this rich diet. You know, they had all the food. They sit back and eat the grapes. They didn't do any
Yes.
exercise, but they had all the food they wanted. Whereas in some certain other cultures, they were eating nuts and berries and wasn't getting that kind of lifestyle. So you get
Mhm.
a different solution.
So is there a way that a person at home could test their blood sugar or something without having to go to the doctor or to a lab? Is there a way that they could, if they wanted to work on decreasing it
Yeah.
while they eat? Is there a way that they could get something to?
Yes, there are blood sugar monitors that you can get. As a matter of fact, with most blood sugar monitors, you can, if a person has a concern and they take it to their doctors, the doctor can write a prescription for a blood sugar monitor where you can take it home. You do a little finger prick. They used to have a finger prick where you put a drop of blood on there and test your blood sugar. But now they even have monitors that you don't have to prick your finger with. You just put them on your skin and they can read the blood in your capillaries and be able to do it that way. So that's one option. But of course, people can pay for it themselves. But that's the people say, "Well, I don't want to pay for it. My insurance don't pay for it." But you got to put value in your own self. People will buy a
Yes.
new purse. They'll buy a
Mhm.
brand new car. They'll buy
Yes.
brand new furniture for their house.
$300 pair of shoes or something.
Right.
Yes.
And a monitor might cost you $90 or $80, and it's going
Yes.
to make sure that you enjoy that new pair of shoes or you enjoy that house you
Yes.
have.
Yes.
Because if you health is everything. If you lose your health, it doesn't matter what things you have, and you're just buying it for someone else because you won't
Mhm.
be able to enjoy it. So yeah, getting a sugar monitor. Another thing is getting a blood pressure monitor. You know, my wife, Dr. Pamela, with her practice right now, she really focuses on all of her patients have their own blood pressure monitor. So they can
Right.
blood pressure from time to time because what we see is as we mature, as we get older, blood pressure can ultimately become an issue because of our diet, our lifestyle, the stresses we deal with, just the state of the
Mhm.
world. You know, if
Mhm.
you just looked at TV today, your blood pressure will go up. You could have a blood pressure imbalance. If you watch, CNN or Fox News or whatever channel you want to watch and see what's going on in the world today, with the,
Mhm.
with the tragedies, with the shootings, with the killings, with the weather. Pick a topic. It's all out there for us. Whether
It's out there.
it's out
Mhm.
there.
And
And
look,
so,
you don't even
yes,
need to turn the TV on either.
you don't. And your neighbors are ringing you off the hook calling, did you hear this and did you hear that, and people have issues. So that is that might we'll call maybe acute blood pressure where your blood pressure's up for a time, but that's a stressor on our life. That's a stressor. It will affect how you
Mhm.
digest food. If it affects how you digest food, it's going to affect how you absorb food. It's going to cause GI colon problems
Mhm.
because people are having
Mhm.
refluxes, they're having irritable bowel, they're having leaky gut, they're having all these symptoms that we have names for, but it all
Mhm.
goes back to that excess stress or not managing stress well, or eliminating stress where you move it out of your life. You go to your quiet place. You go to a place where you can tune the external factors out. So yeah, we want to do that.
I know on the patients, the both the patients and the clients that we work with, we ask them, we
Mhm.
help them develop a regimen, and we're
Yes,
finding that when they get up in the morning and they have to do a meditation for
yes,
at least 5 minutes,
yes,
and they have to listen to a preference of music and go through a relaxation, we're finding that this peaceful thing that you're speaking about is beginning to increase, and they feel a less, what do they call it, racing thoughts. So they, during the day,
yes,
they have less panic attacks or lower racing thoughts, fewer racing thoughts.
yes.
Mhm.
And that's
Pacing of their
directly related to
thinking.
food. Yeah, and I'm going to share with just that's how it's directly related to our diet. When people have those thoughts, or they're more prone to have those thoughts,
Mhm. Mhm.
the thoughts and ideas or the external environment is a trigger. But if you have the wrong fuel in your body, you can get it out of control, and you can't manage it the same way. So we see
Mhm.
people who are on high carbohydrate diets, which means they're eating a lot of sugars and starches. They have
Mhm.
a difficult time focusing. So if you can't focus, you can't get your mind off those things that keep you going in a circle, and it gets worse and worse. And you focus on those things. And focus
Mhm.
means I'm able to take the thing out of my mind and put it to the side and look at something else. But if I'm constantly going from one thing to the other thing and I can't manage one thought or one thought pattern, then that's a problem. But we see that carbohydrates, artificial colors, artificial flavors will do that to people. I want to bring it home to, I know we're approaching a holiday right now, and I want to say this to the people early that, people think about the holidays and the first thing you think about is food. Food preparation, whether it's Christmas or Thanksgiving, where I'm going to eat, what I'm going to do. I was laughing. I was talking to a person yesterday, and they said, well, they give away turkeys this time of year, and so and they were saying, well, I got to leave work early today because I got to go by the turkey leg hut. I said, why? So, well, the turkey leg hut is giving away turkey legs to anybody who comes by. They're going free turkey leg for Thanksgiving. You don't have to be anything, just come by there. And I kept saying, so everything I said, but this is about Thanksgiving. We should be focusing on Thanksgiving, not about the food. The food is secondary. And so I want to
Right.
get out to the audience right now that during this holiday, during this time, and I know it's important for us to say this, that let's focus on what we're thankful for, what's been a good year, and not focus on, I got to get to the grocery store. I got to get my cranberry sauce. I got to get this. I got to get that. And we end up going through this process and we work hard for Thanksgiving Day and we never really get to the point of knowing what we're thankful for. So
Yes, I really like what you're saying, and I'm going to tell the truth here.
yes.
This is the second year,
Hmm.
and more so this year than even last year, that I am so thankful and appreciative of so many things
Yes.
that I decided, and I think our conversations here
Yes.
and things that we have investigated. So now I no longer planned all of that kind of food.
Yes.
This is and everybody's blown over. Not you that cooks the cornbread dressing and the sour cream. You not. I said no. What I'm having here today, and so I really am, is I'm going to have my beets and I do love them, beets and cucumbers and stuff. And I'm
Yes.
going to have my baked food. And what I found out is I only I was gorging before. I
Yes.
only needed a cup or a half a cup of the cornbread dressing, and I tried it out before, and I was satisfied for that. And
Right.
I only need one small size slice of sweet potato pie, and I'm good.
Yes.
So it was just that it was what I wanted to go with what you said about expectation. It
Yes.
is that we think Thanksgiving is plentiful and more of the things that we should not
Right.
have. But when we begin to value something else more,
Yes.
then all of a sudden the expectations then begin to change. And
Right.
then that's what yes. So you
Yeah.
you made mention of that just a few minutes ago.
And
Hmm.
then one thing I got from my psychology in school is when you're, and for the audience, for when your reality doesn't meet your expectation, then people get depressed. They get sad because they have this
Yes,
expectation. Reality is here. If reality meets expectation, then we're happy. But if reality falls short, we think we're a failure. We didn't do something right. We're sad. We start looking at the glass half empty. So I always tell,
yes.
you need to, change your expectation. I don't say lower your expectation, but change it. Don't
Change
expect
it.
the things to
Hmm.
be, maybe what someone else has or what other people achieve for. Your expectation should be being thankful. To me, is being thankful for what we have today, what we've had, to how we get to this point. And so not so thankful doesn't go to what's happening in the future. It's right now. And then how do we get to this point and how are we now? So even if you are not where you want to be, people say I still haven't lost that weight, or I still, I'm still having stomach pains. But at least you are, be thankful for where you are, because you need to be thankful for
Hmm.
that. You can move forward and go even further.
So I ask people, I say, are you driving or are you parked? So
Yes,
if you're driving and you're driving in the right direction of your trip, then you're good to go. But you
yes,
are not, if you then you deserve to figure out what you're going to do with your depression if you
yes,
park or you backing up. Okay.
yes.
So
That's a good
so
one.
every time they do it, like you say, your hand to your mouth, I go like, "Are you driving? Where are you going? Are you driving?" And so
Yes,
they go like, "Well, what does driving mean? If you park." And so as soon as that you know that you parked, are you backing up?
Yes.
somehow it changes what you do when you're driving,
Yes, that's
so to
true.
speak, so to speak, so to speak.
Well, what
Yeah.
I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share a couple of slides here because I want to talk about some
Okay.
good food ideas because I want, and we know we call this talk today food and nutrition for wellness. Now, and I want people to understand we call it that because food is one thing and nutrition is another thing. Food is something that we eat, but nutrition is something that improves our health. And so, nutrition for wellness means we're going to do things that's going to help us stay in that in that balanced state, on that journey of being balanced or staying in balance, staying at
And,
peace. So
and
let me.
one of the things that on another call, I
Mhm.
really want us to get into specifically nutrition as medicine.
Okay.
I want us to really look at what this here combination next time, but not this time.
Okay. Let me see if I have my screen share up here. Um,
Mm-hmm.
okay. I think I have it here. And you can see my screen now.
Yes.
Okay. And so what I'm calling this presentation here is it's a short, I only have maybe about 10 slides I want to share with people, but it's food as medicine. And you start off the show
Yes.
mentioning that food needs to be looked at as medicine, not just as something we eat because we like the way it tastes or because it it smells good. The whole process is that every morsel of food we put into our mouth or we eat should have some health benefit. It should have a positive effect on our body. It should have a function that it cleanses us, that it revitalizes us, that it energizes us. It has to do those things that will make us healthier and better person. So, um, so that's kind of what we're going to focus today.
I think it's an excellent topic with all of the things that we're discussing today, the healing process.
Yes. So, yeah, and the question you asked, I know we had questions before. I always talk about what not to eat and what people need to stay away from. But I am going to focus on these slides on what do we eat? How do we eat? How should our plates look and what should we focus on? Traditionally, with breakfast, it's always been the toast and jelly, the bacon and the eggs, the juice, a coffee in the morning. And although, we think we looked at it as breakfast because we have been really programmed to feel that that's breakfast or that's what we should have in the morning. But really, those things are not beneficial when it comes to nutrition or when it comes to wellness. They taste good, they smell good, but it doesn't have a nutritional or wellness benefit to it per se. Um, so for breakfast, we want to, and the things we think of, the cereals, the hot and cold, the toast, the jelly, the fruit juice, those are all carbohydrates. So when you eat that type of breakfast, you're eating probably 80% carbohydrates. If you have donuts, if you have a Danish, if you have coffee with sugar in it, it's just a lot of carbohydrates. And again, carbohydrates contribute to this to what we call excitotoxins, or they're enzyme that produces proteins that tend to excite us and have us more hyper
Mm-hmm.
than proteins do. So we want to change. We want to change the dynamic rather than having a high carbohydrate and low protein. We want to have a higher protein and low carbohydrate. So how do we do that? And what I recommend is that people really want to lose weight. You want to start off. We want to cut our meals down. I actually plate meals down to 2 meals a day. So you want to start off the morning having a smoothie. And when I like to use green smoothies because if you put greens in it, like a green vegetable, you can use some organic fruits in it also. But if you start with the greens, they give you minerals that you need for alkalizing. They also give you a fiber that you need to help stabilize blood sugar. Some, depending on what vegetable you have, you get a higher protein content, but it also balances out the sugars and the other starches and carbohydrates you'll have in that smoothie. Now, we want to put fruits in that smoothie, mixed fruits, and those are the berries, the strawberries, the blueberries, the blackberries. And berries are good, but again, berries only are available in season. That's usually from May until August or September. So we want to eat fruits in season. So we have the berries; those are called low glycemic or low sugar fruits. And our goal is to keep our sugar content down as low as possible. You will get sugar from fruit, but if you start off with a low glycemic fruit, that's a good choice because you get all the other nutrients you need and not a big portion of fruit. Apple, pineapple are good fruits to eat. Avocado, cantaloupe. And in the future, when we talk more in detail about this, I'm going to talk about food combining, how we combine certain fruits with other fruits. There are three
Mm-hmm.
categories of fruits. There are what we call sweet fruits. There are sub-acid fruits, and there are acidic fruits. And then you have to know what fruits to mix together. Like you really
That's what
never, yeah, you don't want to mix things like sweet fruits like peaches and pineapple with cantaloupe or melons or with berries. You can mix sub-acid with acids, but you can't mix the sweets with the other because it interferes with digestion. And these are things we don't know because we haven't been taught these things. We just are taught by the Kellogg's and talked by the commercials we see on TV, and that's all not good information for health, but it's good for sales of food. And the second thing
Mm-hmm.
for breakfast, having I call it a black bean taco. Uh, I normally would have a rice tortilla rather than being made out of corn or made out of flour. You can have a tortilla that's made out of black rice, but lately I've been making tortillas out of beans. I use red lentil beans or lentil bean or lentil flour to make a tortilla, which is a bean, and beans have more protein again. They have the same consistency as a flour or a tortilla, and you can do the same thing with them. You can saute your portobello mushrooms, add some red onions, saute red onions, add some spices to it, and wrap it up in your tortilla in your red lentil tortilla wrap. Some people who like more greens would take collard leaves and wrap their mushrooms up in the collard leaves, and it'll make a delicious bite of food. It's more savory, so therefore you don't have a yearning for sugar. And what you're doing by eating this way on a daily basis, you cut down your sugar craving because you're not reinforcing your craving by eating sugar every day at the first meal of the day. Because when you get up in the morning, you are used to eating sugar every day in the form of donuts or coffee or cereals and things like that, and then you don't have it, it creates irritability because it's like a withdrawal reaction when you don't have that sugar that you're used to in the morning. We see it
Mm-hmm.
so much with people who were coffee drinkers and they're used to having their caffeine surge, their caffeine boost in the morning, and they say
Mm-hmm.
things like, well, I can't get going in the morning until I have my coffee, or I got to stop by Starbucks on my way to work or 7-Eleven or wherever they go, but they don't get motivated, they can't get ramped up because they don't have that caffeine in the morning and and having that kind of desire craving is a sign of another medical problem that's going on as a
Mm-hmm.
developing person, and we call that adrenal fatigue or
Mm-hmm.
renal insufficiency, where your body is not producing enough cortisol levels or hormone levels to get you going and to give you the energy to get up and want to hop out of bed and get going. When we in our teens and 20s, we can hop out of bed and get going and run down the street. And when you get in your 30s, 40s, and 50s or 60s, you say, well, I'm going to hit the alarm clock 3 times before I get out of bed because I just don't have the energy to hop up and do that. And sometimes that happens in their 30s and 40s. We're saying, well, younger people that are experiencing adrenal fatigue in young
And
people.
I'm finding much of what you're saying is
Hmm.
occurring. It seems that some of the older people that I'm coming in contact with have more energy and get up. And I'm saying now I see why. And the younger persons, because of the food that they're choosing to eat, they're
Yes.
dragging and feel low energy. And I was like, how could this be?
Yeah.
Until we did our nutritional life, what your food intake was.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
those older people you're speaking of, they get to a point where you get in your 40s and 50s and you make a decision, I'm going to change my diet. And they start eating more of a plant-based diet or less carbohydrates, and they see their energy level increases. They feel a difference. When you're young,
Hmm.
you think you're invincible, so you can do all those things is okay. The only, the real caveat of what we see with young people is that if we get people who are in college or who are in a master's or PhD program who are really stressed out, they show that adrenal fatigue where they need coffee, they need something to keep going, and it's number one because they have a lack of sleep, but number two that they are fatigued, their adrenals are fatigued, they're worn out, they just can't produce the energy they need to. But as you
Mhm.
get into a more stable job situation, or you get in a more balanced situation, whether it's a home life and a routine, then those things change it. So with this slide here, I want to close out the bottom. It says serve 70% protein, 30% carbohydrates for breakfast. And when I use the word carbohydrates, I just mean anything that's a sugar or starch. Starch, if it's made out of flour, if it's made out of starchy substance or base, or if it's sugar based or has a significant amount of sugar, if it tastes sweet, those are the things you got to cut down. If you
Now
get your
say that
fruit,
again. Can you say it again? What percentage of what?
we want to do 70% protein. So proteins are plant proteins. Those are beans. Those are leafy green vegetables are protein source. Nuts like pecans or walnuts are protein source. So, if I wanted to make a wrap in the morning, I'll make a pate, a nut meat pate out of pecans and walnuts and make it into a pate. And when you add it with onions and garlic, it will taste like you're eating a meat because it has so much protein in it. And that's
Mm-hmm.
a good way you get full, you're not hungry, and you ate plant based rather than eating something that was, what I call animal based, or which would have the oils in it, the lards and the grease and the fat in it. And you want to stay away from that. And then
Mm-hmm.
you're eating some food that's savory rather than programming your body to eat things sweet every day. So
Mm-hmm.
carbohydrates are going to be some type of sweet, or it's going to be some type of starch. Because understand what starch is. Starch is a molecule that once you eat it, it converts into sugar. So if you have bread, which is a starch, once you eat it, that bread converts to sugar. And so then if you have jelly and jelly on that bread, then you have sugar on top of sugar, and then you eat it. And that's what your body sees. Oh, he's giving me sugar today. Or he's giving me, so starch, sugar, sugar, sugar. So we want to have protein, because protein balances out sugar. So you can have some sugar if you have protein. So we have an apple, we have some pineapple, we might have grapefruit, we might have um, avocado. Make your avocado toast. Avocado is a fruit, but it's not a sweet fruit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So just want to put those tips out there for people to really think about.
And then when you were mentioning something about the black bean taco.
Yes.
So when we're getting ready, it seems that when we're having hors d'oeuvres or guests over, that
Hmm.
we could have that with a dip that we've made, and we could cut it into little pieces,
Yeah.
little and that could be, instead of having the traditional stuff that we buy that have a lot of fat in it for hors d'oeuvres.
Absolutely. And this next slide, it will give you some of the same things here. This is, people always say, well, if I don't eat any meat, or if I don't eat this, I don't get any protein. But there's so many protein sources just in eating plants alone, but we're not aware of them. Like, these are plant proteins I list here. Lentils. Lentils are a green bean. They have red lentils. They have green lentils. They have black lentils. Very rich in protein. They have also vitamins and minerals. You can get beans to make hummus. Those are garbanzo beans, or what we call chickpeas. Chickpeas, you can get a recipe for it and make hummus, make a great hummus dip. I make a hummus dip with the beans. Sometimes I use a little avocado in it with the beans. Sometimes I'll make a hummus dip and put lemon in it. Put red peppers or bell peppers in it and make a great dip. And when you eat it, you don't want to necessarily eat it with crackers. You want to eat it with things like celery sticks or carrot sticks, or either bell pepper sticks is what I call them. But you get a nice crunch, you get more nutrition with it, and you stay away again from the crackers, which is a carbohydrate. It's a
What
starch.
about the bean? What about the bean chip?
The bean chip is a good source too. I
Okay.
I I I try to steer away from that with people. They can eat it, but once they start eating bean chips, if they go to the store and the bean chips not there, they get regular chips, because chips and bean chips can tend to be a little bit more processed food. I want people to stay plant based. I want them to stay raw as possible and unprocessed as much as possible.
Hmm.
But there are certain lentil chips and certain black bean chips that are okay. But you want to make sure that they don't have the wrong kind of salt or added preservatives on them. You have to really find a clean chip. And we can talk about that too, because I have some that I do recommend for people. I don't have them right before me now, but we can talk about that.
Okay. Mhm.
But also nuts such as almonds. Now, what I want to say is, you get almonds, you always want to make sure you get organic almonds. There was a report that came out several years ago with the almond industry, especially in the United States. The way they keep pesticides from destroying the almond crops is they spray it with a chemical called glyphosate. Glyphosate is a pesticide, but it kills molds, funguses, and a lot of small pests. But glyphosate is actually the active ingredient in Roundup. So the same Roundup you use in your yard to kill plants is a poison toxin. It tells you to wear gloves with it, don't get it on your skin, but they're spraying it on almonds because they want to kill the bacteria mold almonds and preserve that. So if you have an organic almond, you won't have that a problem. Walnuts, cashews, pistachios, all good protein sources. Nuts are rich in good oils, omega oils, but also rich in proteins. And make sure your nuts are raw nuts. We don't want to get nuts that have been roasted. We want to get nuts that are raw. If you roast a nut, um, what happens to it is that the heat that takes the roasted nut changes the good omega-3 oils in the nut from a good fat to a trans fat. And if it changes to a trans fat by heating or roasting that nut, then you're eating, like, it's might as well like eating fried chicken or fried fish, because you're eating the same trans fats you get uh, with fried foods, and that's going to end up with cardiovascular disease or elevated cholesterol levels. So
Right.
raw nuts give you good oils and give you what we call HDL, your good cholesterol, as opposed to LDL, your bad cholesterol.
That's
Uh,
so good to know that little nugget, that little point there
mhm,
changes a person's perspective there.
right.
Just by having that knowledge. Yes.
Yes, and then peanut butter is very popular. We've always used peanut butter, but what we find out with peanuts is specifically, they are very high in a mold called aflatoxin. That particular mold, aflatoxin, is what causes people to have allergic reactions to peanuts. Like, some people eat peanuts, they have very sensitive or allergic. Like, Southwest Airlines was known as the peanut airline. They used to always give you packages of peanut when you flew Southwest. Well,
Hmm.
recently, in the last 10 years or so, they've had a couple of huge lawsuits from little kids on a plane of Southwest, and the person next to them could eat a peanut, or if they touched the seat and there was some peanut residue on the seat, and the kids would actually get sick because they couldn't have any peanut protein or peanut mold around them.
Wow.
And so they have completely removed all peanuts from their airline altogether. You can get other snacks, but you can't get peanuts anymore, because people realize how devastating it can be. So, and my thing is, if I can eat peanuts, it may not affect me, but if the person sitting next to me eats a peanut and he falls out and has convulsions, or has to go to the emergency room with an anaphylactic reaction, maybe I don't react to it, but if it happens to him, then something is happening to me. I may not have the same response. I don't think
Yes.
I'm impervious to it. But what that tells me is something about that nut for the human body is not good. And so, just because I don't fall out, we always talk about having a canary in the coal mine. The coal miners back in the old days would put a canary in the coal mine, and they could tell when the air go bad because they watch the canary. If the canary dies, then everybody runs out of the coal mine because they know there's a toxic gas coming through the coal mine. So the person who has a reaction, a bad reaction to something, is your signal that something is not good for you in that. So you want to make some decisions in your lifestyle that I'm going to change some things, because I don't want those things to happen to me. I don't want something to pop up later down the road that I wasn't aware of, and I had these warning signals all along. So
Hmm.
rather than eating peanut butter, there's an almond butter and there's a cashew butter. There are plenty of different nut butters. There's a sesame nut butter, but find a nut butter that you like is good for you, and you can still, make your a nut butter spread. You again using my lentil bread, or there are like I said, there are some of the bean crackers that you might want to use as a bean source. And one reason I say careful of bean sauce, you want to look at the labels if you buy that kind of product, because even some of them will have starches or have flour in it and mixed with the bean, because they use them as a stretcher. But then you're deteriorating your health if you do that. If you keep eating carbohydrates, because that's going to always lead to higher blood sugars. And if you do it for a long period of time, you're going to get into the pre-diabetic range, and it keeps moving down the line. Seeds,
Wow.
pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, chia seeds, hemp seeds. All of these seeds are excellent source for protein. They're an excellent source for fiber. They're an excellent source for omega good oils for your skin, hair, for your bones, for your joints. They lubricate your body. And people don't think about seeds, but seeds are what I call the germination, or that's the origin of life. So when you have a seed, that's where the biggest oak tree comes from. That's where palm trees come from. That's where everything starts off as a seed. So seed has
Hmm.
energy like no other. It's not like eating a leaf of a plant or the stem of a plant, because it has all the energy of that plant. That all that plant can ever be is in that seed. So even when we eat foods, we really shouldn't remove the seeds. There are a lot of plants that you should eat the seeds when you eat the food, and not take the seeds out, because that's where the energy is. So that's one thing I really want people to consider. Um,
That's a good thing that you're mentioning because, oh, let me see. I can't remember. There was some other seeds for digestive that you mentioned once before,
uh-huh.
and you had suggested that we take these seeds and put them together and grind them up and then sprinkle them on our oatmeal at one time. So
Yes,
it was,
those are the flax seeds.
yeah, flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, and you grind them up and you
Yes,
sprinkle them on your, yes.
yes, because you're adding to the nutrient value of your food. You're getting the oils. We should normally get that in our diet anyway. But so when you do things like that, it decreases the amount of multivitamins you got to take. It decreases the amount of omega 3s and things you have to take as a supplement. Because really, food should be, when we talk about whole food or complete food, when you eat a plate of food, it should have all the vitamins and nutrients that you would like, that your body needs, and we don't always get that every day. So that's why people supplement. But you can supplement with other seeds like the hemp seed and flax seeds. When people can't get those things, they go to the health food store and they buy pills or capsules or liquids, and they supplement that way. But you got to realize that you just can't take vitamins and not eat healthy, because vitamins only supplement to the food. They add to what you eat, and they can't replace what you eat. You can't just drink vitamins and minerals every day and not eat healthy food and think you're going to be okay. So I tell people that uh, food should be complete. It should be minimally processed, and it should be as fresh as possible. That means it came off the vine yesterday. Um, and then
So
I
the
give
other
it.
thing is
Mhm.
that so let me see what I was trying to say something here. So when a person is balancing out their meals with what you've discussed thus far, I don't know if you finished or not. I don't want to go ahead of what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna finish this page right here. That we take we see trail mixes. I actually make my own trail mix rather than buying a trail mix at the store. But just a combination of nuts and seeds. You might get walnuts. You'll get cashews. You might get some pistachios. But then you get seeds like your pumpkin seeds or your sesame seeds, and then you add a berry to it. I like to use goji berries. Goji berry is a small berry. It looks like cranberries, but they don't have this. They don't have the same. They have a lower sugar content. They have a natural sweetness to them. There's no sugar added to them, and you mix them together. You make your own trail mix, and that's equivalent to when people say I get a Snickers bar, they go get some out of a vending machine to help them out when they get hungry, to allay hunger. And that's nothing but chocolate with sweets, with again roasted nuts. So all of those things that you're eating at that point are probably pretty bad for you rather than being helpful for you. Fruits, avocados, strawberries, cantaloupe. Um, and in general, this is a general term. We want to make sure that when we're eating our food, 75% raw. That means we want things that have been, a lot of food that hadn't been cooked, that are fresh, that are organic. And organic means simply that they're chemical free, they're pesticide free, they haven't been what I call adulterated anyway. Like sometimes you get bananas that have been irradiated, or they have a lot of herbs that we buy, like McCormick products. They use radiation to kill all the bacteria on the food and the molds and fungus, so the herbs will last longer. If you buy oregano, or if you buy cinnamon, or if you buy anything, they irradiate most of those foods. But I am always concerned about low level of radiation residue, because radiation residue stays for a while. They say, well, it's low below what the standard is, but standards are different for everybody. Every BODY, everybody is different from everybody else. So you have to take care of your own body. Um,
Bless you.
Rices, red, black rice, wild rice is a preferable. Mushrooms have very high in antioxidants. They stimulate the immune system. They they help knit your natural killer cells. In China, the mushrooms like the reishi mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms, and cordyceps mushrooms, which are mushrooms we don't know too much about, but they use them over there all the time. But that's what they use as a part of chemotherapy for people who are dealing with cancer. They start them off on a mushroom therapy, and it works very effectively. Once they change their diet and do the mushrooms. But if you include in your regular diet, you can prevent those things from ever occurring. Raw nuts, seeds, legumes, drink healthy, purified water. We want to do that. Now, this is just a guideline here of what we want to do. We want to eat multiple salads during the day. So we want to get it like you eat 3 meals a day. You should have at least 2 to 3 salads a day because every salad, all it is fresh vegetables, uh, fresh protein, good antioxidants. The more colors you have, um, the more you have the dark greens, leafy green vegetables. That's a good protein source, a good fiber source. Colorful vegetables, yellow, green, orange. Those are good antioxidant sources. That means that it gives your body what it needs to fight off toxicity and chemicals and produce energy. Sprinkle walnuts, often almonds, or sunflower seeds in your salads because that gives you again an extra source of omega-3 fatty acids, some omega-6. Add avocado and flaxseed. Again, you're adding more protein, you're adding more fiber to what you're eating. And so this is a salad. This is a salad I make. I take pictures of my salad because I get so excited about them. But this is what I call a rainbow salad. And basically, I have some tomato. It's a spinach leaf lettuce, which you see most of the spinach, and maybe some romaine lettuce in there. There is tomatoes. I have yellow tomatoes, and also I have red tomatoes. I also have some yellow bell peppers, and all of the tomatoes and the peppers are all organic. I want to get them chemical free because they use a lot of pesticides on tomatoes and they use a lot of pesticides on bell peppers because they're called thin skinned fruits. There's some shredded carrots in there. I also use beets. I use a red beet and a yellow beet. I shred that up and put it in there because I want to get a broad spectrum of nutrition when I'm eating the salad. I'm not just eating a tomato and a cucumber and a couple pieces of lettuce because that's poor nutrition. This is a different salad here. This is a romaine lettuce, but it has the purple is a purple cabbage. It's on the bottom. It's a layer of cabbage on there, and then the yellow, which you may think is carrots, is actually sweet potato. It's a shredded, grated sweet potato, and then I put cherry tomatoes on top of that. And then you can make, and then there's plenty of recipes for your own salad dressings. I like to use something simple like a balsamic vinegar dressing, or use a oil and vinegar dressing. And sometimes you can even make. We have a couple of recipes that I've shared with you before, Dr. Lewis. The hemp seed salad dressing that gives you rich in omega-3s, and
Now that sounds good. Yes.
yeah, it's very good. And then this is a small salad. This is a raw dish, and this is just coleslaw. I know a lot of people do like coleslaw. Rather than putting sugar in coleslaw, we use things like xylitol, natural sweetener, or some people use monk fruit, which is a sweetener that you can use. It's not sugar, not cane sugar, but you have your coleslaw. You can do a coleslaw recipe. This is red, yellow cabbage with a little carrots in it and some other peppers in it, tomatoes, squeeze a lime juice over top of it, and avocado. And it's a snack. It may not seem like much. When you eat this, you'll feel so much better. You won't get tired and sleepy after you eat this. And it's good nutrition. The fiber is so good for your colon. It's so good for digestion. It's more like life is what I want to call it. It's important. I'm going to finish it with a couple of slides here because we're going to talk about this again in the future. These are cruciferous vegetables. And cruciferous vegetables are basically your cabbage, your broccoli, your cauliflower, your turnips, your rapeseed, mustard seed, radish, horseradish, watercress, and wasabi. But all of these vegetables are rich in chemicals that fight cancer. It says some of the cruciferous vegetables, especially these, have been shown have the ability to stop the growth of cancer cells for tumors in breast, uterine linings, lung, colon, liver,
Wow.
cervix, according to the American Institute on cancer research. And it's not just somebody saying it's not the companies who make it saying it. This is the American Institute on Cancer Research. They research vegetables to see how food is medicine. And if you're eating this way, you can prevent it. If you are diagnosed, if you eat this way, you can stop it and reverse it. So you have to. So if you're eating fried chicken and pork chops and gravy and no raw plant-based diet, and you develop a serious illness like cancer, or say colon or whatever, you can't keep eating those things and expect a different result. You got to change your
Mhm.
diet, number one, to get a different result. And we know these are the things that help. So when we talk about things that help, it goes back to the basic foods. Studies have shown that the diet of people high in cruciferous vegetables are linked to low rates of prostate cancer. So just for the men, prostate cancer
Mhm.
by itself, there are studies that show that if you eat a lot of the cruciferous vegetables, the cauliflower, the broccoli, the cabbage, uh, the asparagus, the Brussels sprouts.
Now,
You
what is that yellow fruit? Look like it's something. I can't quite see it there. It looked
know,
like carrots, but it looks like it may not be.
those are daikon radishes. Those are radishes. See, beside is a little orange fruit here. Can you see my pointer?
Yes.
That's a regular, what we call a regular radish right there, or turnip. And this long one is it's a white radish, but it's called a daikon radish. They use daikon radish in a lot of Chinese food. It's very big in Asia, Southeast Asia, but it's very nutritious.
When
So,
I went to China, they took that radish, that daikon radish,
hmm
and they baked it and put something over it.
yeah, they have a lot of
It was good.
Yeah, they have a
Hmm.
lot of dishes that they use with the daikon. We grate it up and put it in our salads. It can by itself can taste kind of bitter, but when you do bake it that way, it takes the bitterness away from it.
Yes.
But I don't mind it the way it is because I know that it's about health and not about my taste buds. It's about my health buds. Now, when it comes to drinking, we always want to stick with drinking water. Water is the most important thing. Our bodies are 70% water, so we should be doing that water replacement every day. And we always tell people to really focus on doing half your weight in ounces. So if you are a 150-pound person, you need to be doing at least 75 ounces of water a day, and that's about 2.5 quarts of water a day. Um,
Wow, that's a lot of water, Dr. Atkins.
It is, but we actually losing that amount of water, and I think a big part of people getting sick and having problems, especially in the wintertime, is dehydration. When you're dehydrated, and dehydration means you don't have adequate enough water for your bodies to function properly, and people want to replace that with coffee. They would drink so many other drinks because some people they'll drink 2 or 3 sodas a day. They'll drink a 16 or 24 ounce of you know
So that
Coca-Cola or Powerade, but they won't drink water.
so that's like this bottle that I have here.
Hmm.
So that's like estimating on an hour. So you have, let's say, 10 wake. Let's say nine average person has what, 9 hours of functioning during the day.
Yes.
So that's every 30 minutes. You must be drinking what, 20?
And then, well, no, if you could drink 8 to 12 ounces, if you drink 12 ounces, let me give you an example of what I do to like if you get people have a red cup, a 12-ounce cup, uh, and that's the size of a normal coffee cup, about 10 to 12 ounces. In the morning when I get up, the first thing I'll drink uh, 8 to 12 ounces of water before I even take a shower in the morning. I'll drink a glass of water, and,
Okay.
and then about 30 to 45 minutes later, I'll drink another glass of water after I take a shower and get dressed. And then a lot of people, when they have time, you're gonna go to work, you want to make sure you can, go to the bathroom, eliminate, but drink a third glass. So before I even start, before 9 o'clock in the morning, I have 36 ounces, 3 times 12, 36 ounces of water. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm halfway there. And so then,
Oh, okay then. Okay, that's not so bad. I was just thinking of these large, huge.
right,
Okay.
right. We do it in small amounts because you can drink. People can drink like a teacup. In a regular coffee mug is usually between 10 to 12 ounces of water. Some are 10, most of them are around 8 to 10 ounces. But in a teacup is 8 ounces. Um, but a coffee mug is more like 10 ounces to 12 ounces. But if you could drink it just a coffee cup full in the morning twice, and then maybe by mid-morning, by 10 or 11 o'clock, you might have if you have hummus or crackers, you have a celery sticks or crackers, you have that in the morning. You drink some more water, and then before noon, always away from food, 30 minutes before eating or an hour after. So we drink water. It's 30 minutes before eating food because you want to drink water on an empty stomach, or an hour after. Because you drink water with your food, what it
They
does is
let me know that they letting us know we're about out of time.
okay.
But
Well,
listen, Dr. Atkins, I
yes,
like this. Before noon, we're gonna have like at least 4 cups of water.
yes,
Okay, and then after when we get ready to eat, drink water before and drink
yes,
water afterward. I'm getting a routine. See,
yes,
so when you put it into a routine, you can keep up with it.
yeah.
And
Like
then in the evening, yes, like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, so when you know you're going to lunches, I'm going to lunch at 12, 11:30, drink a glass, 12 ounces of water. And then after lunch, maybe 1 or 2 hours after eating, have another glass of water. But when dinner time comes, 30 minutes before then, if you start preparing food, drink a glass of water while you're preparing your food. And you get your water in. By 6 o'clock, you should have all your 70, 80 ounces done.
Listen, you have helped us today. So now we have our water routine down. We have how we're going to measure our sugar.
Yes,
We know that we can go into the doctor and we can get us something to help us observe and pay attention to the sugar while we're eating. We know we're
yes,
going to decrease our carbs, increase our protein, and we know how we're going to do that. And of
yes,
course, we're going to decrease our stress in the morning by breathing and relaxing.
yes.
And we're going to make sure we get enough sleep at night.
I'm
Okay. And
feeling better. I'm feeling better already.
already, that's what I'm saying. And then what we're going to do is we're going to
Hmm.
make sure that we have enough raw food every day, every
Yes,
meal. So we're going to look at our plate and see that our plate, almost half of the
half,
plate, that we
50%.
have
Yeah,
some kind of raw food there. Now you
yes,
know I'm practicing this. I'm
yes,
I'm I'm, I'm changing my expectations about every meal, and I'm practicing this. And so we have to then get our grocery list together
absolutely.
and begin to do this. So this is what we're getting ready for the holidays. We're getting changing our grocery list. We know we're going to eat a little bit on Thanksgiving, and we're going to give it all away. We're going to not cook too much.
That
Okay,
sounds
just
great.
a little bit. Right.
Yes,
I want to thank you for being here, helping us to live, helping us to know what to do and what not to do, and putting it in perspective so that it's manageable, not only for wellness, but a change in lifestyle, a
yes,
change in lifestyle for the future and forever, so to speak, is what I'm saying. So I
yes.
want to thank you again. So I hope our audience enjoyed this talk. Review it. Go to YouTube, Mending Threads Women's Resource Center. Look at the YouTube on next week. It will air on www Houston Public Access TV at
Mhm.
7 p.m. on next Tuesday. So look for Dr. Floyd Atkins from Center for Wellness and Healing there. And you might find him other places too. So I also want to let you know to go to wrc-houston.com. We're planning on having classes in this that you can sign up for so you could become a health coach. And we're already having our mental health coaching that you can sign up for our next class. So our goal is to not only become healthy ourselves, but to help our neighbors as well. So renew your beliefs, rebuild faith, and reconnect families and communities. For it is not the circumstances we meet, it is the manner in which we respond that determines health, happiness, and success. So I'll see you same time, same place, same station on next Tuesday. Thank you now. It'll be on the first Tuesday of the month. Next week, we're going to give you a summary of how to heal yourself and tips. So we're going to take and get information from each person. They're going to send it in, and all it is just going to be tips about how to do this and how to do that. Thank you now.